Tonight on Radio Team Legit.
Radio Team Legit. Remember the sound from Current Affair? Wah, 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 wah.
Haven't heard that. I'm not American enough.
We got to get rid of all those 6-inch props back there.
I think Johnny might be the biggest source of distraction on this because we're going to be talking about something and then he's just going to jump in with like, dude, we really got to hang that aircraft on there. I'm looking at it and it's just a bare spot. We got to do something.
All right. Quickly organize the batteries. Right. It's just bothering me.
Oh shit, that one fell over.
Hello everyone in podcast land. My name is Alex and also known as Token Swede, which is my pilot handle. This is the Team Legit first ever FPV podcast. And let's go around the table and introduce who we have here in the shop tonight. Let's start with...
I'm Josh. I'm one of the older cronies on the team.
My name's Ramen. I'm the newer cronies on the team.
The fluffy hair kid. I guess you could say I'm Johnny the...
Fearless leader.
Fearless leader, very fearless. I will kick down a door to get to you.
Johnny, are you the great leader or the deer leader?
I don't know. I don't like deer.
Venison's tasty though.
Venison's okay. No, I'm just a regular. I don't even say the leader. I'm just the direction guider. Let's say that. Yeah. Is that good enough?
He's the campsite mover.
The mover.
Yeah, the campsite mover.
Hello, my name is Ian. I don't have a handle because I'm not creative enough to come up with a cool one.
The over-explainer.
You can just call me Ian.
Okay, and Ian is the guy that kind of mad scientist, maybe?
You could. Ian the mad scientist.
Ian the mad scientist. Okay, perfect.
Or the batshit crazy guy.
Yep. Okay. So, what is this we're doing right now? Well, I wanted to do a podcast for some time, and a lot of you guys also wanted to do a podcast, especially a FPV podcast, which is kind of geared toward fixed wing FPV. Because right now, there are a lot of FPV podcasts, but most of them are geared toward quadcopters, which doesn't really fill our need for fixed wing FPV. So we thought it would be a great time to start this podcast and basically just bring some more content for the fixed wing community. And the idea with it is to have maybe a weekly, depends on how much work it is and how much listeners we get, but we're going to try to do it at least a couple of times a month, and the idea is to bring you content, and that is in the form of guests, interviews, or us just talking shit. So, Johnny, let's start with you. What is Team Legit? How did Team Legit get started?
First of all, I don't know what a podcast is.
Podcast.
Pod Talk Quadcast.
The closest thing to pod is Pogs. That shows how old I am. But Pogs. So Team Legit started off as a bunch of guys who were passionate about FPV. This was about 7-8 years ago when I started putting cameras on airplanes. And as you know, the interwebs is a very good place to connect people. And it connected me with some people, and we kind of started a group thing, and it was inspired by other FPV videos, and we just became a group. I mean, it could have been called Group Legit, but that wouldn't make very much sense. So it started
Association Legit,
or Association Legit, or Cult Legit. I don't know.
Click Legit.
Click Legit. Yeah. So it started off as Team Legit because we were a team of guys, because we're people that go out and help each other and help the community. So best way, name was Team Legit, and the whole Team Legit part came out of a meme. And I know a lot of you guys know what memes are now, but back then memes weren't that popular. So
is that like a cat meme?
It's kind of like a cat meme. So the meme was basically a very old rusted van with the windows boarded up and padlocks on the back, and somebody had spray painted Hannah Montana concert shuttle on the side of it. And the meme, the caption on the bottom was "Seems legit." And we were doing what we're doing now is hanging out, having a few beers. But a few was probably a lot more back then, and we were pretty happy, and we just started laughing so hard that I think James, who is no longer really on the team, he kind of lost interest in this stuff, but he started throwing up from laughing so hard. So the next day after the hangover weared off, we just kind of said, hey, we should call ourselves Team Legit. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? And we laughed about that some more. So that's kind of where Team Legit came from, is out of a good time we had out of the garage, and the name was born.
What do we do?
What don't we do?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. What does Team Legit do? What is Team Legit?
Let's see, guys. I'm loud, so I was like intentionally.
You're
sitting
loud?
phone.
No, you're like Mister. You're like this.
I was really. I was
This
picked up
is
really well.
KSRY FM Tehachapi.
I'm watching the levels.
How'd you come up with Tehachapi? That's like the biggest shit. Never mind.
It's not a shithole. It's just a tiny hole.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Team Legit. Well, there's kind of two sides of Team Legit. There's the work side and the play side. We have more members involved in the play side than the work side. The play side, I would say, came along first, and that is just us going out and basically, as Johnny said, being originally inspired by other people's videos, and now just kind of trying to go out and do the coolest things we can think of. Usually that involves having a lot of fun. And more recently has involved some competitions as far as actually racing aircraft goes. And we've kind of chosen to take that kind of seriously, and we have a blast doing that. The work side, a few of our members are involved in, and that's just running the Team Legit store, which in part kind of pays for the fun side. So, yes, we're a business on the one hand. We manufacture our own wings and design our own wings, and as well as be just a general hobby shop for the Los Angeles area. And then after hours, we're the very fun and
creative,
loving,
troublesome,
Liquored up.
team. Then it's fun time after that. So
look, Mom, I'm gonna go fast.
Yeah.
Touching on the business side of things, the business side is a lot of there's a lot of work, and there it has income, but most of the income we just pour back into the hobby. Like I pretty much I guess I would say, well, I am the owner of the business side, but the business side, I pretty much pay the guys in FPV products. None of the guys actually make real money. I mean, nobody gets paid in actual denomination. And when I say nobody, I'm only talking about ramen. Josh and Ian get a paycheck. But
I still gotta pay my car insurance. Full.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: I'm the only member of Team Legit who, for whom Team Legit is my. This is what I'm doing right now. So.
That's fair.
We'll buy the newest thing to review, and when I say buy the newest thing, most of the stuff we review are purchased by us. So if it's crap, we're going to tell you it's crap because I paid for it with Team Legit funds.
And we're just as angry as all the guys who write us tickets on our back end of our website.
Exactly.
We're just as angry as everybody else.
And then the other thing too is, as far as the profits from Team Legit, the profits are pretty much the negative that I usually pay for with my full-time job. I work full-time during the week, and the income that I make from there usually goes back into paying for the store, it's paying for deficits. There's a lot of overhead and things like that to think about. But I think the biggest thing the business side does is, one, it pays for Josh and Ian's gas money and, electricity so they can charge their lipos. But it's a big asset to the community, being in Los Angeles.
Freeman.
Yeah. Being in Los Angeles, there's a lot of people out here, so having a retail store where somebody can come in and see everything FPV rather than browse online, I'd say it's a pretty big asset, for...
It makes a real big difference to actually have a physical shop to go into, to look at stuff, see how other people made it, blah, blah, blah. But definitely an asset. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of our customers are coming from over an hour away because there's just not a lot of shops that are doing this sort of thing. And it's not always just seeing, Amazon, you can get it in 2 days, but some people, I know myself, I want it today, especially if I'm going flying, and if I need a part, I'm gonna drive 2 hours to go get a part.
Well, and also people like that face-to-face experience,
Yeah.
right? They'd rather, instead of just punching in their credit card information online, they'd rather like come in and talk to us.
Sure.
Ask us expertise. And some people like to just hold stuff in their hands. Like I've had customers, pick up a motor and be like, oh, well, this doesn't feel as nice as I had hoped it would. I'll just get the ones I always get. So.
Yeah. Or even like, for FPV, a lot of stuff is trial and error, and we try to mitigate the difference between starting off on the, wrong foot and just putting people right there on the right track to begin with. Like, which video frequency do I pick? And, you can come in, you can chat with somebody face to face, and we'll tell you, what are you trying to do? What do you want to accomplish? And then we'll help you pick something. And the biggest thing is, like Josh said, is feeling things, but like goggles. I mean, I don't know how many people have bought goggles and they get it and they're like, crap, this doesn't work for me. What do I do now? Do I eat the $300 or $400 or whatever? Or do I take a loss and sell it online? Can I return it back to a physical store? We take a lot of that out of the picture because they'll come in, they'll try things on, they'll feel it, they'll, everybody's face is different, everybody's eyes are different, so they'll come in, they'll try it on, say, these goggles work for me, this fits, this is the one I want. I'm gonna go buy it right there.
Yeah, and remotes are kind of the same way too. People pick up, a Tyrannus, they're like, this feels like crap, and other people are like, oh, this is like butter compared to the DX6 I've been flying with for 8 years.
Ramen, as...
Come on, bro.
Ramen. Sorry.
I gotta walk.
He's all his feet are all up on the table and shit.
All right, guys, if you can't hear us anymore, it's because we walked away from the table. Ian just let one rip.
Ramen, as the newest member of Team Legit, you started out as a walking customer here.
Can I tell you about that story?
And we kind of noticed after a while that you weren't too annoying.
No.
And now you're on the team. So what was that? What was the experience? Walk us through you finding out about the Team Legit store, and then what happened to you in the past couple months?
Well, what started off like?
Can I jump in?
What was your give us
Come
your
on,
origin
tell
story?
I'm gonna let you tell the story, but
Johnny's gonna interject.
I just want to say, I got really annoyed at seeing him every single day. All right, go ahead, Drummond. Tell the story.
Well, I can just say Johnny was annoyed because he saw me spending my time, which Johnny pays me for, to help Ramen every single day with one thing or another.
Which is funny because now Johnny likes Ramen because we don't actually pay Ramen to spend his time here.
Yeah,
so
just get parts
he just
for all
gets
this
parts
stuff.
for all this crap.
Actually, Ramen owes me money at this point.
He's like he's here every day and still is like he's in a insurmountable hole.
I do spend a lot of time buying Johnny's old stuff. Like, I like it when Johnny finds something new that he likes. Oh, you found a new Dragon Link system that's thinner? Oh, I'm so happy I could get your old one now.
Hey man,
for
sloppy
half the
seconds ain't so
price.
bad.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of perks to working here and not having to buy the new stuff. That's a good thing. But before I worked here, it was just sucking so much money. I love this hobby. I mean, I've been in it for about like 3 years now. I started off with like ZMR 250s and then scraping together to afford a terrible Emax motor to replace.
And that was
12
prior to you
FPSCs.
finding out about this place.
Oh yeah, that was before I knew this place here. I lived like 20 seconds up the street, and it took me 6 months to realize that there was a hobby shop down the street. We had no sign. The shop is literally a hole in the wall. There's like no indication.
It's not a hole in the wall. It's a nice place.
It's, like Josh saying,
It's humble. It's a humble store.
It's a physical hole in the wall.
What does it say? We got like window paint. We got flags that go outside. Come on, man. It's
Yeah,
not
I know.
that
We
bad.
had.
It's a
I
very
remember
nice ex-cigarette
It's a
store.
humble store.
the first
Yeah.
impression
Yeah.
I had of walking into this place was I looked and there was just a rack of just hoverboards, and I was like, oh crap, this is not something that I'm going to be interested
Don't get
in.
me started on hoverboards.
Yeah,
don't even
go
get started
down
on the
that.
hoverboards.
We're not
yeah.
even go down that bombshell of a. Anyway, so keep going. So what?
Eventually, it just got to the point I was spending so much time and money here just doing something stupid that just
Like
Ian
building a
asked,
quadcopter?
Yeah, building quadcopters, wasting time on quadcopters specifically. Till Ian eventually was just like, "Hey, do you want a job here?" And I was
No,
like,
I think I remember that day.
Yeah.
Because I walked out. I walked in the back door and I see this freaking fluffy-haired kid every day coming in here picking Ian's brain. And Ian's getting paid on the hour. That's why your orders used to be late, because Ramen used to be in here sucking Ian's time. And I just came in here and I said, "Look, kid." No, I think I remember the day. There was another customer in here and you were helping them out
Yeah.
while waiting for Ian to jump in. And I think I pulled you aside and said, "Listen, kid, I think I was going to tell you to get the hell out, but then I changed my tone, and I had a change of heart, and I said, do you want a job? Which I think was probably one of the best decisions we made for the store and for the community. Oh, get out of here. But I offered him a job, and I remember your reaction. Your jaw dropped, and you just looked at me like I punched you in the gut. I don't know if you were excited, scared, nervous.
For the longest time, I didn't actually know that Johnny was the owner. I thought Ian was the owner. And I had no idea who Johnny was. He'd just come in, say a couple words while on the phone, instruct people things, like fix something that Ian's been working on for an hour in like 2 seconds, and then just leave. And I was like, who is this guy? And then when Johnny offered me the job, I didn't actually know it was an offer. I didn't even know if it was for the job at the store. I had no idea who Johnny was.
I needed somebody to clean toilets for me.
Yeah. It started off, I just sold your stuff on RC Groups.
Yeah.
I had those like 4 racks of stuff that
Ian's
you just
got a
wanted
beer.
me to sell. And then slowly by slowly, I remember first wing I bought was a little pop wing that Josh was making at the time, or repairing, and then after that, it sort of just snowball effect into all my money went into this.
Yeah.
So basically, all money you get paid, it goes back into the shop somehow.
It's not even that it goes back. It's literally I have not collected a paycheck working here. I just have a garage full of airplanes and quads and stupid stuff.
He is very demanding though, because every now and he'll walk up to me and be like, "You need to PayPal me this much money," and I just kind of like, well, "How do I take? I need to buy some. I need to pay my insurance. Okay, guy. Like he's very strong armish. He'll come in and basically rob me for his paychecks. But I've tried to put him on payroll a couple times, but he prefers to get paid in FPV parts.
Yeah.
He's living the dream life.
Yes, he is.
I was like, when I started working at Team Legit, it was like garage days and this and that, and that's how I was too. Like I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna do a batch of mini pop wings, get myself a set of Dominator V1s and this and that. But then it got to the point where I was like, okay, like I had like 3 jobs and this and that, and I like slimmed it down to where this is my only gig. And living with your parents is cool, but you still got to pay like car insurance, phone bill.
Hey mom, I'm gonna go out to the desert and hang out with a bunch of guys. I'll see you later.
Okay, so if we continue on that note, how we got involved with Team Legit, Ian, can you tell us your story, how you got involved with Team Legit?
Well, it's a story that Johnny told to Matt Ogborn a few nights ago, but I moved to California about 3 years ago now. I'm from Maryland. And when I moved, I'd been into RC for many years in Maryland, but I didn't really have friends that did it. I was kind of doing it on my own. I had friends who thought it was cool that I did RC, and I had friends that liked to, check out the things I built, and they'd come flying with me. But I didn't have anybody else to fly with who also flew. And when I moved out here, I did this personal challenge. I thought to myself, how long can I go without participating in FPV? Because I moved out here in a Volkswagen hatchback and didn't have a whole lot of space. And I looked at my collection of RC stuff and I said, I'm just not even going to take any of this stuff. I'm just going to go out to California. I'm going to see how long I can get by without it. It was about 4 months before I broke down and bought a Bixler, I think, and started assembling at my apartment. But I still didn't know anybody. I think I started going to the Rose Bowl. I'd hit up the Rose Bowl like early in the morning and do flying out there and whatnot, but I didn't know anybody. And I discovered a Facebook group called SoCal FPV Aviators, which is about 900 people, all in the just local area here. Southern California has a few faults, but it's got a few strengths, and one of those strengths is that you can work on like craft activities or like you can do stuff outside year round, right? So, why is there such a big car culture in Southern California? Well, it's because you can have a half broken down car in your driveway year round and work on it year round. In Baltimore, nobody wants to do that because it's frozen for a third of the year.
It's cold as balls for most of it.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, right? So, I think there's just there's a lot of people who do FPV in Southern California because Real quick, guys, if you're hearing sirens driving by. Yeah, if you're hearing sirens, we are not located in the ghetto part of LA. It's actually a really nice part, but we're doing the podcast in the shop, and it's right on a busy street. So,
Some popos
We get
were
the
about
nightlife going by.
popos were about to go jam some fools up.
So anyway, to try to make a long story a little shorter, I discovered this Facebook group of all like people who were into FPV in and around LA, which, you know, at the time I discovered that, it was amazing to me because I'd never been in a location before that had a critical mass of people who were into this stuff. And eventually I was on that group for about a couple weeks before somebody posted about an upcoming camping trip. An FPV, like RC airplane based centralized camping trip, and I just thought that was the coolest idea. I'd never heard of something like that before. I was like, oh my god, it's a bunch of guys that are going to go fly airplanes for a weekend out in the desert. That's like, you know, where has this been all my life? So I told my cousin, who I moved out here with, I gave him the coordinates that had been posted on Facebook, and I said,
Is
listen.
that just so that he could come get your corpse
Yes,
if you didn't
yes.
get
I
back?
said, because I'd never met any of these guys before. All I saw was a post on Facebook that said, you know, hey, we're having an open camping trip. Anybody who wants to come, you know, just show up. And I told my cousin, I said, here are the coordinates. I'm going out to this place called, you know, El Mirage Dry Lake Bed.
Hey,
You have to wait. You gotta say
I
you
don't know any of the people. I'm gonna meet them at nighttime. By the way, I'm not gonna get out there in the daytime.
You gotta say it like Sergio though from Team TBRC. You gotta say like El Mirage. When we're at Worlds, quick offshoot. We're at Worlds. He walks up to me and he's all like, you know, like drinking or whatever. He walks up and goes,
Hi Sergio, we love you.
He puts his arm around me and goes, Josh, next time you go out to the desert, I invite me. I want to come. I want to go to the place you call El Mirage. I want to take my mini Talon, fly it as far as it will go.
El Mirage is a fun place.
Let's go.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways,
Hey Cam, headed out to the desert. Here's the coordinates in case I get raped.
Yeah. So I went out there and I met Josh. I met Ethan. I met Bob. I briefly met you, and then you bailed.
And how long
Johnny.
ago was this?
This was...
It was just over 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And the reason I know that is because the reason I bailed is my wife was, I think, 9 months pregnant. No, she was about 8.5, 9 months pregnant, and she had called and said that she wasn't feeling good and, you know, baby stuff. And I don't know what the deal was, but I was supposed to spend another night in the camper that Josh and Ethan dragged out there. And so I bailed, and then I think Ian got my bunk. And
I've heard that prior to this time, when I met the team, Johnny was a really fun guy. Did all sorts of interesting things, and
I was able to risk. The risk was how do you try to figure out the best way to put? Yeah, I had less to lose. The risk reward was a little bit higher, and I was able to go out on a limb just a little bit more. But being a family man definitely changes you. I don't think none of you guys have kids.
No, you are the
Ramen
one.
is actually old enough to be young enough to be my kid, but yeah, having a kid definitely changes you, and you think twice about doing different things and stuff. But yeah.
Well, and you also at the time your wife had not been a lawyer for very long, so in the back of your mind, I don't know what it was, but in your head you're like, oh, my wife's a lawyer. That's a get out of jail free card. That's a I can do whatever the hell I want card and get away with it.
But in reality, it's if I go to jail, she can come and visit me as my attorney. Much easier than trying to be my wife to visit. And yeah, back then life was, you know, we'd risk a lot of things. I mean, I remember you and I went flying somewhere one time, and the sheriff walked up or said, or I think a water and power guy came and said he was calling the sheriff's on us, and he kicked us out of the flying field.
we were at some like helicopter pad up in Azusa Canyon, and just ripping up the canyons.
I told the guy to fuck off, and then I thought twice. I mean, now I would think twice about those kind of things. But having a wife that's an attorney does have some perks as far as you get a little more arrogant, you get a little more cocky and whatnot, but. Yeah, those days have changed. So yeah, Ian's assumption of how I used to be before is a little different.
Okay. Let's go over to Josh. How did you get tangled up with Team Legit?
So I've been flying FPV for like 4 years, a little over 4 years now. So way back in like 2012, I was building like a quadcopter and this and that, and I got into flying. I had a GWS slow stick. I don't know if any of you guys even know what that is anymore.
The ugly stick.
Whatever, man. It
Das
flew good.
Ugly Stick.
It's not the Das Ugly stick. It's different. But I flew that, and I had a GoPro on it, and this and that, and I was like, oh, there's this meetup going, because I was desperate to find other people who did this kind of, this kind of deal. Like, I felt like I was all alone in Southern California. I was like, that can't be how it is.
No,
and
were you and Ethan flying together?
yeah, it was only me and Ethan. Ethan's one of our buddies who isn't really around on the team anymore. He's a full-scale pilot. But, yeah, like, it was just us, and, we were just kids, and we just, 17, 18, just wanted to fly, remote control airplanes and do whatever and do our FPV thing. So I went to this meetup at Hanson Dam back when we used to be able to fly there. And, I was there and, meeting some guys. It was cool. It's where I met a couple guys like Keith Lake and a couple other guys from the SoCal FPV Aviators deal. But this guy rolls up in a Silverado and he's on his phone, and instantly I'm like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about getting a flying wing and this and that. He's like, oh, you should totally get this. And he pulls out this box out of the back of his truck and he pulls this kit out, and it's like a pre-production legit wing, right? So this thing is like, it's like he's built like one of them, and there's like not that, it isn't like nowadays where we like know stuff's gonna fly because we have experience. Like it was just,
it flew well.
It flew great. That was a great plane. But he's like, oh man, you gotta build this and that. It'll be awesome. I'll get you a good price. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
I think
man.
I did that to Ian also.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Oh,
to Ian.
it took me a while to. I'll tell that after this.
Oh, man,
it took me a while to get converted.
Yeah, it took a while, but yeah. So
once you take a hit of that EPP, you're
it's all over.
addicted. You're addicted. You start fiending that.
So I meet Johnny, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'6", so I was good at throwing airplanes. What can I? Well, I'm not intoxicated. If I'm intoxicated, all bets are off. Like
worst.
It's
Josh,
worse. I'm bad.
Josh, the thing the listeners need to know is that when Josh throws a plane, he has a head start on everybody else. In fact, I'm gonna submit that for racing in the future, Josh might be outlawed as a plane thrower because that pilot gets a head start on everyone
like
else.
A foot and a half.
If the race is, if it's ever a hair, if it's ever a down to the line photo finish and the gap is less than a foot, that person won because Josh was the one throwing them.
Is it also true that you don't own one pair of shoes, Josh?
No, just recently
I bought a pair of shoes.
After months
Oh my God!
Oh,
if you can see this, guys, I'm actually looking at a pair of shoes because
Dirty feet.
Under the year and a
Dirty
half
feet.
that I've known Josh,
Dirty
I've
feet.
never seen him in a pair of shoes.
I call them dirty feet.
I've had sandals for forever. But
Dirty
anyways,
feet.
so
Yeah.
I'm at this meetup.
Thanks,
and,
Chris.
And Johnny.
But you gotta actually be careful though with Josh throwing your planes. You said you get a head start, but you could be in direct violation of the FAA's altitude limit the second he lets go.
Well,
So you got to be careful of that as well.
when I get called for going to 401, I say I'm sorry, but my launcher he just threw off my calibration.
Entering Echo airspace. Josh, throw my plane.
So Johnny's walking around. He doesn't know who I am and this and that. He and I'm just standing around watching all these guys fly. Hey, there's another weir. Just watching around, having guys fly, this and that. And then all of a sudden I hear this guy, I don't even know his name at this point, I just hear, where's that big Norwegian looking motherfucker at? He needs to throw my airplane, and it's a full-size gray Skyhunter. I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. So I throw this guy's plane, and he gets out like a mile. And he goes, oh man, he's like, oh, I forgot to start the recording on my GoPro. He switches his picture-in-picture or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, just land it down in the field. I'll start the recording, and we'll just throw it again. And he's like, okay, cool. So Johnny lands it down in the lower field, and as I'm walking up to it, I'm probably 100, 150 feet away. All of a sudden, I just see smoke billowing out of this plane. And what Johnny had done is he was going to walk down there too to look at his plane, and he had set his remote down and bumped his throttle, and so it was cogging
Always
against
put
the
a
ground.
throttle lock.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a throttle lock, and the ESC catches fire. So
real fire.
dead, fire, like flames shooting out of the ESC. It was actually pretty cool. So I full dead sprint, baseball slide up to this plane, and I'm like, there's people freaking out, oh, get back, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no! So I rip the canopy off from it, and I'm yanking batteries out of this thing and blowing into the plane, and I can just see it's an ESC fire. But yeah, so I got his plane put out, and then ever since then, me and Johnny kind of been buds. And then we, I got my first legit wing not that much longer after that, and it's kind of been.
And then fast forward 4.5 years to Josh getting his first pair of shoes.
Only by your paycheck, buddy.
That's it. So, you guys, this is a little shameless plug. Support the TeamLegit.com website and spend all your money so Josh can buy shoes. All your funds are going directly to
We
buying
need
Josh
to do a
shoes.
custom item that's just a donation to Josh's shoes.
At
Do we have like a
checkout-
GoFundMe for my shoes?
No, I think at checkout, just before you're about to pay, it says, "Would you like to donate $1 for Children's Foundation? Would you like to donate $1 for Josh's Shoes Foundation?"
You can buy him laces. You can buy him a new sole.
Yeah.
Man, I have some J's by that point. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Ramen, you want to tell how you got onto the team? or is he-
We already talked
Yeah,
about
we
it.
already
talked
talked
about
about
Well,
He had
I
no
got
choice.
hired.
It's I guess it's Alex's turn then, because Johnny
Yeah.
is the origin story of the team. So
Yeah. Well, I moved from this exotic country called Sweden 2 years, a little over 2 years ago. Started off by moving to North Carolina. Spent a year in North Carolina, not doing that much RC. I built my first like crappy foam board planes. And just on a side note, I think I crashed like 6 of them before I even got it up and flying. But fast forward, and I moved here to California with my wife and my little dog Folke. And I started flying around here in California. Went down to the Rose Bowl a couple of nights, flying some quads. And I also had an old beat up foam Banshee something plane that I flew around. And
Actually, Alex, I was going to say, living in North Carolina, you were at risk to becoming a part of another group.
other group? Which one?
Yeah, North Carolina FPV with David Donaldson and those guys.
Oh, okay.
David
Yeah.
Donalds?
David Donaldson, yeah, he's a good guy. Anyway,
Okay.
there's
Yeah,
an
so-
FPV group in.
dude, did you see that video of him flying through those like metal rings with his
man,
twins do?
The guy's nuts.
He's a beast.
Love him.
I haven't seen him.
We'll have
But-
him on the show one of these nights.
Oh, nice.
I'm with it.
Anywho, I saw this FPV Wild Wing race announcement on the interwebs. And basically, some people called Team Legit was hosting a
Fuck those guys.
FPV wing race. And I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. So I thought that me and my beat up Banshee and my 3S batteries would roll up in that and basically take everything. And fast forward to the date, go to the competition. I show up. I don't know anyone. I'm kind of by myself a little bit. Anyway, start talking. Everyone is really nice, blah, blah, blah. And we start flying. Practice goes. And I very soon find out that my stuff isn't moving as fast as everyone
Yeah, as fast
else.
as Ian with his Super Veloce 6S legit wing. Nobody can roll with him.
Exactly. And so what I did after the first night was that I went home and I cut up like 4 or 5 old 3S 2200 packs and soldered my own 4S packs because I've never flown 4S on a FPV plane before, and I did that, and I had an
And I
old
think I
sheet.
gave you a motor too.
Yeah, exactly. And showed up the day
No,
after.
you cooked your 3S motor when you went to 4S. So you needed a 4S motor to handle. It was like a bottleneck after bottleneck. You had the plane, and then you had a motor that could handle 4S, and you didn't have any 4S, so you soldered a 4S, cooked the motor, and it was a good time.
He's chasing his tail on 4-cell.
Oh, yeah, I remember. It was so much fun.
That was, yeah. And then I think part of it too was like, I remember because we sat down at dinner and I was like, oh, it's like I didn't really talk to you that much or anything at the race. So like I sit down at dinner and we're at this Mediterranean restaurant here in LA, and you sit down next to me. I'm like, oh, hey, it's I'm Josh, I'm Alex, blah blah blah, and then we just kind of hit it off from there. And we're like, we're sitting at dinner and everybody else is talking or whatever, and we're showing each other YouTube videos of us flying and trimming grass and stuff with our wings.
Well, wait, Alex, I have a question. It
Yeah.
was a 3-day event that we did. How did you go from showing up an event where you didn't know anybody to, I guess, on the last night we were all having dinner together?
Yeah, well,
What
it
happened?
kind of escalated because first I started to talk to. I remember talking to all you guys when you were there because, I mean, you guys, you had a team. You were flying together. I came
Although
from.
most people, the majority of the people at the event were not Team Legit.
No, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
But anywho, and like Johnny said, I had bottleneck after bottleneck trying to get somewhere. So I think it was the qualifiers on the second day or something that I at least had a semi-good motor that could take 4S at least. but I had my shitty homemade packs. And I remember the first qualifying round, and actually got some really good speed out of the Banshee. The wings almost folded in the turns. And I kept it up for approximately 2.5 minutes. I was actually overtaking people. But after 2.5 minutes, my batteries burned out. And that was it. But it was a lot of fun. And after that, started talking more with you guys. And I actually met Johnny for the first time. And Johnny invited me to dinner that evening. And we've been hanging out ever since. And that is how I got to meet Team Legit.
There was although you no longer regularly work at the shop, there was a brief time when you were.
He was our IT guy.
It was you and me.
Yeah, because when I started hanging out with Team Legit, or when I got to know Team Legit, this was just when you opened the store, Johnny. Mm-hmm. And during that time, of course, opening a new store, it's a lot of work and moving. And
so let's touch base. I mean, this is being. Don't take it as racism or stereotype or anything like that. But
you're gonna tell them about the desk, aren't you?
Don't bring up the
we
desk.
were putting together the shop. I mean, we had to bring in display cases. We had to build the wall.
It was an empty room.
It was just a big empty showroom with a nice warehouse space, but it had offices. Mm-hmm. And Alex very generously would come by and help out as much as he could. And you are an IT guy during the day, so you're very good with networking and things like that. So he helped set up the network and everything and got the whole place up and running. And, being generous that he is, he said, guys, is there anything else I can help with? And I almost didn't want to ask, but then, I kind of didn't have a choice. He said, is there anything else I can help with? When there was a brand new desk from IKEA sitting in the office, and it hadn't been put together yet. And I said, hey, Alex, you're from Sweden. Do you think you can help us put together a desk? I'm sure your family probably put together back home. And can you assemble it for us? And he's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And he did it without thinking twice. But at least he should have put it together correctly.
I think he did think twice.
Yeah, that I remember. I told you that it was pretty racist of you to tell me, as the token Swedish guy, to put together IKEA desk, but I did it
backwards. You did it backwards.
Was that your
it was only one board that came out back.
Yeah, it's okay.
I recently discovered it's missing some screws.
No.
To hold the two sections together.
I think they always give you extra screws anyway.
Yeah. That's why you end up with extra screws and the empty packaging. It's just supposed to be there if you actually lose something while assembling it.
Is every Swedish person, like, when you leave the country, do they instruct you on how to be a brand ambassador for IKEA?
Absolutely. You have to speak well about IKEA. I mean,
so like, hello, here is your passport, and here is your IKEA beginner's guide to salesmanship.
Fuck that. Sounded very German.
It sounded Indian.
It didn't sound Swedish.
Hello, welcome to Team Legit's Tech Support. How could I be assisting you today?
Oh man, as far as Swedish, I guess every good FPV, every good, FPV or RC team or club or group has to have that token Swede. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
We're also glad that you took the initiative, took the time, and are doing this podcast. We hope that a lot of you guys at home who are listening to this find it
funny,
humorous at least. And somewhat informative.
If we can brighten your day by a little bit, then
and we promise we're going to try to bring you guys more FPV content. We're going to try to bring you guys things that are FPV related. Being in FPV for the last 8 years, I know a lot of people. I have a lot of contacts, so we'll try to bring you some special guests. I know I'm pretty good friends with most everybody in the FPV industry, so we'll have some people on the show and see where it goes, and hopefully this pilot inspires people to.
The whole idea was to fill the gap in the FPV podcast community, so to speak, to fill the gap so that we can have a fixed wing FPV podcast, and also tailored for. We're not like unfriendly towards beginners or people just starting out in the hobby, absolutely not, but we want something that even people that are advanced wing pilots would be interested in listening to. We're going to do a segment in the show where everyone on the podcast talks briefly about what has excited them FPV-wise last week or the last weeks. And it is preferably something that you have built, done, experienced, anything FPV related. So let's start with Josh. What have you done that's been exciting?
Nothing.
Whatever. I started off, I've been a diehard Team Legit fan for forever, so I've always used Team Legit stuff. But Chris Click waved his fancy new right-wing hardcore 44 in my face, and I bit the bullet. So that's what I've been working on all this week. I've been, pulling Barts from other planes and just getting stuff put together. So, yeah, and I think all of us are kind of excited about right-wing stuff recently. It's pretty sweet.
It looks really sweet.
The CNC cut spar channels were really sweet, putting all that together. Even slightly inebriated Josh had no problem putting together all the parts in that wing.
How far have you come with your hardcore?
It's got all the spars in. I've got all of the core plast, like bays and all that stuff in. I still got to put the lids on, but that's, with laminate. I've got the elevons painted, and I've got the way Chris recommends adhesive and everything on that wing is kind of funky. The way he says to do it is to get the plane ready for paint. And instead of painting it and then putting adhesive on it, he says put a heavy coat of 3M M90 on it first, and then paint over the top of it, and then hit it with some Super 77 if you don't feel that it's tacky enough, depending on how much paint you put on it. So that's kind of what I'm at right now. I just put I put the heavy coat of M90 on there, and then I also put my first coat. I painted a white airplane white to make sure everything matches in true Ian form, to make just beat a dead horse to make sure it's really white. So
my name is Ian Jeffries, and I support this message.
So I did that. So hopefully I can get it painted in the next day or two. And then there's an upcoming event out in Las Vegas that we might end up going to go racing. So I'd like to have it ready for that. So.
I see. Okay, Ramen, what have you been up to lately that's excited you?
For me, it was a pretty big week. I popped a lot of cherries. We're
talking about airplanes here, right? Okay, good. Because I don't want to know about your personal life.
Yeah, me neither.
I got a 54. I put Dragon Link in it for the first time ever with an aircraft with Dragon Link.
I'm Johnny Bagardician, and Ramen, who's been on the team for 2 months, has a Dragon Link before Ian Jeffries.
And after that, I put a 1.3 video on for the first time.
A 54 being a very large legit wing.
54 inches is a big airplane.
That's how the ladies like
the audience may or may not know what that is.
It is exactly 54 inches long.
Is it the biggest you've ever handled?
That is the largest I've ever handled. Yeah.
I see.
In length and in girth.
So, continue, Ramen.
Other than that, I took it to our normal flying spot.
And trashed 2 planes. One didn't even get out of the
We can go ahead and not talk about those 2.
Were they legit? Wait. Were they legit wings?
No, they were both not legit wings.
And that's why they broke.
Well, one of them was your favorite plane ever.
Hey man, I like the slow stick.
So there was a Josh.
It didn't even make it off the work table.
I made it off the work table, straight into the pavement.
So what happened is Josh tells me about his favorite plane ever, the slow stick, and I buy one at the AMA show from.
And I told him not to get one.
Yeah, I should have listened to Johnny. So I get this upgrade motor mount, and it's all the Pentent gimbal. It's like great. Set it all up, ready to take it out on its maiden. And literally, it falls off the table and breaks the motor.
No, it didn't fall off.
It drives off the table.
It flew very shortly off the table. And then even worse was I just got a new radio too, and I tried to fly my Timber that I've flown a couple hours on that thing already, and had the aileron reversed. So
it was spectacular though.
I was looking forward to flying it.
He took off. Imagine taking off and doing the tightest power loop you could ever do, and I just cringed. Thought this thing was going to smash into the ground. And it actually did a touch and go. So it did a full loop.
And a touch and go.
And then the wheels touched, and he went back up in the air. And then after that, it stalled, and he just dropped straight down and broke the nose off.
No.
Then it
landed on the wheels, and it was fine. And I reversed the elevator, and then I was an idiot, and I threw it up again when the ailerons reversed. I just rolled and broke off the nose.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So Ramen destroyed 2 planes this week.
Hey, but I flew the 54, and that flew well.
That was a pretty impressive flight. You flew the farthest you've ever flown.
Yeah, that was about, like, not even a mile. That was around a mile.
Half mile?
I used to
3/4
fly,
of a mile.
For reference, I used to fly on Lemon electronics, like Lemon receivers. So my range was pretty much as far as you could throw an object, and then after that, just cut out.
Well, Lemon receivers are pretty good, but you're talking about Spectrum 2.4, which range is not very.
And for
good.
like park, it's cool for like park flyers and
ultra micros, nano, tiny
race quads, stuff like that. It's no big deal. But when you go into like a wing, which covers ground like real quick, so you gotta be careful with it.
Go Dragon Link.
So, Johnny, what did you do this week that excited you?
Oh man, what?
Have you even flown something this week?
I actually flew the mini drac.
Oh,
Ooh, the mini drac. Anyway, yes, actually, I finished the mini drac, and we flew it I flew it last week. We did a little maiden flight and review video on it, and it flew okay. I was having issues with the ESC going to thermal shutdown. When you have an ESC in an enclosed space and not much airflow over it, it'll tend to get hot, and it'll save itself. And so I put a Band-Aid on it by putting some heat sinks and opening the vent, and I flew the crap out of it this weekend. I flew about 8 packs. I mean, it was just in the air all weekend. It flies amazing. I am very impressed by the way it flies. It takes off very easily. I mean, you can toss it any which way and it'll go. It's gorgeous in the air. And so I got some mini drac action this week. And
do you think it could be a contender for wing racing?
With the right setup, with the right power system, and kept super light, it can be a contender for wing racing. I think at that point you'd want to maybe glue the wings together. Yeah. To take those G's, to take those turns.
You were going pretty fast with it already.
I was going pretty fast, but for wing racing, it handles really well. So, handling wise, yes. Speed, top end. I think if you kept it really light and peppy,
like
you could race.
You think like 2600 4-cell probably?
Probably, 2600 4-cell, no OSD, no FPV gear. Put the ESC way up front. Gear. I'm sorry, no vector, no flight stabilization or like no vectors. But you put the ESC way up front. You put a nice light, maybe an in-runner on there, or even a higher KV, maybe the spec wing motor motor or something like that.
A 22 millimeter motor would probably be fine on it.
Yeah, well, it's got a 28 millimeter on there now.
Yeah, that's big.
And no lamination, no paint. I mean, just keep it really simple, just straight up race wing.
Spec Miata style.
I think you could hold your ground with it definitely. The way I have mine set up with complete laminate to protect the hydro dipping that we did, which is a very interesting thing to do on an airplane. It was a very eye-opening system to hydro dip an airplane, but putting the ESC in the back with the vector and everything probably wouldn't race it, but it flew great as it was set up. With I just used Chris's recommended stuff, and that's going to be the hottest plane for this year.
We got a bunch of pre-orders already rolling.
Oh
yeah.
So
I'm definitely getting.
We're actually starting to get low on the pre-orders, so we'll see. We'll see if you're able to purchase one. That means you've got one reserved as soon as they're out. We are planning a trip to maybe AZ and go pick one up and pick them up and ship them out that day and fly with Chris a little bit.
One thing that excites me as well is experimenting with in-runners.
Yeah.
Because I know, for instance, me, Josh, and Ian for this season when we've been, and also Johnny, when we've been going to nationals, for instance, and also when we went to Hawaii for Drone Worlds. I don't know, how many motors did we buy collectively for testing?
The answer is way too many.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Johnny and
We're talking about thousands of dollars in hardware.
Yesterday, Johnny and I were on a cleanup. We were cleaning up the shop together, and Johnny was rummaging through a certain side of the shop, and he pulls up this bag of motors. boxed motors, and he comes up to me and he says, "Ian, I thought we were out of stock of whatever X motor it was." He's like, "What are these? Like, are these systemized? Are they available? Like, why are they hidden over here?" And I'm like, "Oh no, Johnny, that's not a lot of motors that are stocked for the shop. That's my own personal bag of refuse."
He has more motors
last
than the
season.
shop does.
Yeah.
True. And they're like snowflakes. There's no two that are alike.
Snowflakes.
Yeah, they're all charged to a different degree than the last one.
Yeah. Okay, so back on track, Ian. What have you been working on?
Well, I after we got back from Hawaii, after the end of the 2016 race season, I kind of took a mental hiatus where I didn't build anything for about a month or whatnot. But I'm kind of getting back into it. Oh, my vacation was the Optera.
You assembled.
Audio, you can't see me doing the air quotes, but
you
I
can't.
quote built unquote an Optera.
You did not build. Bill, you can't even use that in the
And
sentence.
and I was having that fun with that for a while, but
you put your nice little snap together keys in it, and it was done.
That thing is so nice.
Wow.
But I in the past week I saw something for sale that I couldn't pass up. I bought one of the
Impulse buy.
I bought one of the new 2814 2100 kV Cobra motors, which did come in the mail, and I put that on one of my older race wings. And this past weekend I was ripping it around a little bit, and that just got me reignited the fire in me to fly fast. I don't really like flying at medium speeds. I either like flying really slow or really fast, and I was flying really slow in the Optera for a while, but this past week I kind of just I lit my fire again for racing and for generally just flying very fast through very small targets.
Look, I'm going fast.
Ragging the nuts off stuff.
Yep, exactly. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited. Josh has his hardcore 44 building.
His hard-on 44.
Josh has a hard-on 44 that he's building, and I'm very excited because in the next couple days here, I think I might get a box from Chris with a hardcore 38.
Surprise!
So,
Surprise, mother.
Is that
which I'm gonna start building as soon as it gets here. So that's what I'm excited about in the upcoming week.
So you're gonna get a Chris Click approved aircraft?
Well, we'll have to see if it's approved or not. I'm still mad. I do own a big drac of my own, and I'm still jelly about the fact that Johnny's drac, which for the audience, we're doing this podcast in our showroom right now after hours, and up on the wall is my drac, and across from that is Johnny's drac, and Johnny's drac has a signature on the wing that mine is missing. And
It's graffiti.
Every day I look at that and I get mad about it.
Somebody
So,
vandalized my wing.
there's a signature on it from Chris, so maybe in the future I can get a signature from Chris on some of my airplanes. But we'll have to
yeah.
Alex, do you have a signature on any of your
No,
planes?
I don't have a specific signature, but Chris Click actually told me that my aircraft flew good. So
Wow.
in my eyes, it's Chris Click approved.
Damn.
And it's so funny because all my builds end up like super heavy. It's basically
tanks. I call them tanks.
It's tanks.
beak.
It's a pig with wings, basically. But
They
I mean,
fly great. I don't know if they fly great or maybe it's just a good pilot.
Yeah, maybe a good pilot, but I put
Aw.
a lot of power on them as well. So if I
The best way to imagine it is take a Honda Civic, put a Chevy 350 motor on it with some Formula One tires.
And the best thing is everything's mounted on the outside.
Yeah.
There's nothing inside the car. Like the gas tank's on the outside.
A lot of-
all the electronics are on the outside. It looks
And
like
then
a
go race
DeLorean.
around a go-kart track.
Yeah.
and if you drop the throttle, it'll fall like a brick from the sky.
Yeah.
Some of Alex is after hanging out with us for a while. Alex has gotten much better. But when I first met Alex, when I was first helping him with his Banshee at the Wild West Wing race, when I think of Alex's older airplanes, I think of like a super star destroyer or like the Death Star or something, which is that at a distance it looks like a smooth, sleek object, but when you get up close, it's actually a city.
That's
And it's got buildings, and it's got like high tension lines, and it's got streets, and it's just all sorts of
Little people walking around on
interesting
it.
little
It's not a
places to
small
explore.
It's pretty
Anyway.
fun. I've learned a whole lot by hanging out and flying with Team Legit the last year. And it's actually pretty funny because right now I'm building a DLG, which I actually finished yesterday. So it's all done, ready for a
You
maiden.
want to shout out where'd you get that deal?
I got that DLG at the AMA show we attended.
Soaring USA, right?
Was it 3-4 weeks ago, something like that? I got it from Soaring USA.
Another SoCal resident.
Yeah. Fun story is that I went and eyeballed a couple of the DLGs, and I went back to where Johnny was at, and I told Johnny, I want to get a DLG, and I told him I was over at Soaring USA, and looked around, eyeballs and stuff, and then Johnny, of course, knows the is it the owner? Mm-hmm. So, he told me he'll help me get a good deal. We walked over there, and he hustled me a really good deal. And I
didn't
got
really
it.
have to say much. It just said, "This is my guy, Alex. Take care of him." And then it went ching, ching, ching. The price dropped a couple notches. But yeah, those guys over there are really nice. Alex over at Soaring USA hooked us up.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
Super nice guy.
We're actually working on an FPV plane for him. He wants to put a thermal glider really, really far. So,
And we want to mess around with some of the hotliners that they sell. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens in the coming year. I think there'll be a profitable sharing of knowledge and experience.
Yes.
Yeah, so the last week I've been finishing my DLG. It's tricky because, like Ian said, all my builds used to look like Star Destroyers with shit all over. But
Is that why you stopped hiding your planes from me?
yeah, well,
Is that after Nationals?
Oh,
after
God.
Worlds, I don't see much of your builds
yeah,
anymore.
it's because I don't bring them over.
There was an incident.
There was an incident. I got scarred.
In a good way or a bad way?
It was traumatic in the beginning. But
Okay.
I kind of healed up a little bit.
Good.
Was it Nationals? Was it? Or
Worlds.
Was it Worlds?
Worlds, it was
Okay.
Worlds.
Yeah. So right before Worlds, I brought my wing, or my 2 race wings, into the shop here because we were gonna have like a. You were gonna film us do like meet the pilots from Team Legit for Worlds, and anywho, I got my wing set up here, and Johnny got like 5 minutes alone with my wing, and he ripped out 75% of all the electronics and cut wires before even almost saying he cut the wires. And this was, I think it was the night before I flew out to Hawaii.
It was.
Yeah, it was
2 nights.
up against
Two
the
nights.
end, yeah.
2 nights. It
You're
was.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Anywho, Johnny's ideas were very good. I ended up saving like 30 grams, but I think I lost like
Of hair that fell out.
I lost like 2 kilos of hair in just
Body
worrying to get.
He had
It's
anxiety.
back to normal.
He had the anxiety shits for a week.
Yeah. But yeah, afterhand, that's why I hide my wings.
But the way I look at everything is, if there is a simpler, faster, quicker, easier, lighter way to do it, especially on a race plane. I've been doing this for quite a long time. I think 8 years in the FPV game is a long time. It's like, it's like decades comparing to how fast technology moves in the FPV game. A lot of people listening to this might have just started a couple months back, and a lot of people have been doing this for a very long time. But
You're saying you're an old man in the FPV
I guess you
game.
could say I feel like an old man in the FPV game. Like Ramen mentioned earlier, when I come into the shop and they've been tinkering with something for about an hour or so, and they're all frustrated and they're ready to give up, and I just come in and do, oh, that's what you got to do, and like without thinking twice, solve the problem. I feel good, and then I feel old at the same time.
Ramen could be your FPV grandson.
He could be, yes, thinking about it that way. So, Yeah, so that's how things go.
Okay, guys, let's talk
Stop
about
kicking whoever's kicking.
what we want to do with this podcast. What do we want to accomplish with Team Legit FPV podcast? Josh, what do you want to accomplish with this?
Phone a friend. I want I don't know. I want more people to realize that like FPV and FPV racing isn't just quads. Because if you ask anybody, like you can even ask Trappy, like the real diehard FPV guys, whether you think that rotor ride or whatever, like just because you can build a race quad doesn't mean you're a true FPV enthusiast. You got to experience everything, right? Like I've got race quads, I've done everything, but like until you've strapped into a legit wing that's like on the verge of hyper stalling through all the turns and you're racing against your buddies out in a field, like I feel like in ripping, or like ripping down mountainsides. Like just the other day, I was, allegedly, I was like 2 miles away from myself, tearing down a mountainside with a 60-inch wing. Like, there's nothing that is like that. So I just really hope we can kind of like, open the eyes to the FPV community and like, break the mold of like you either race quads or you do APM stuff or you do video mapping. Like there's so much more to this hobby that we can do.
The fun part about us here is also that we enjoy so many different things in FPV. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and what I've been missing is that there is no fixed wing FPV podcasts out there. It's all about quads or it's all about like commercial UAVs. That's about it. And I think that people will generally be interested in listening to what we have to say. And I mean, this as a first episode, it's maybe not that topic related, but that will come. Okay, so let's talk about the Team Legit members that are not in here in person today. Who are they?
But we hope they will be in the near future.
Just read it off Slack.
Just to read it off Slack. A couple of the guys are missing. Some of the guys have been around for some of the longest, like Tim and Bob. So Tim has been around for he's our super dude buddy he's been around since the Trona days, way back when. Like Tim and Bob have both been around for forever.
Bob didn't go to Trona with us, I don't think.
Yeah, Bob was at Trona.
He was?
Yep, Bob was in Trona.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So who are they? Who is this Tim and Bob characters?
So Tim is Tim's a graphic designer by trade, but he
works a lot.
He works a ridiculous amount and travels a lot, but so Tim's been around the team for a long time, and Tim is just like don't give a shit to the max. Like it's like, Tim, this servo sounds kind of stripped. It's okay, just throw it again, it'll be fine. And we definitely
or he'll maiden a plane and it'll just crash on maiden, and you'll hear, "Fuck this shit! This was a waste of time." And throws it back. Give my goddamn legit wing, and every time I hear him, I mean, I'm not trying to kiss or toot my own horn. He always like, "Oh yeah, this is a legit wing." Every time he launches something and it flies good, and he's like, nothing really flies like a legit wing. Yeah. So anyway, Tim's a diehard fan. Yeah, sorry, my Tim voice isn't pretty good.
And then we also have Mr. Bob.
Mr. Bob,
the official plane holder.
Bob is our official plane holder. Bob is our.
By the way, Bob did a fantastic work at Masters. Or Drone World, so to speak.
Drone World, yeah. He held a lot of airplanes.
Held a lot of airplanes here. He is indeed a very talented plane holder. But
Bob's the guy that shows up with his reclining chair. I don't know if he comes out to actually fly with us, to hang out with us, or just to watch how stupid we are.
Yeah, I think it's the later, to be honest. Because
I think he just sits around, because he just sits there, smiles, and shakes his head the entire time.
You idiots, you dummies, you guys. Anyway, we love Bob to death.
Yeah.
Bob has one of those personalities where people have come into the shop and they're like, "Oh yeah, Bob's pretty cool. I like Bob." Or the complete of, "I can't stand Bob. Oh, Bob."
Show does not like Bob.
Yeah, but
but Bob's great.
I think it's a personality conflict, but
definitely
you got to know Bob, because if you don't know Bob, you'll
think he's an asshole.
He is an asshole. There's no thing. I mean, what did I just say the other day? I was like, I haven't been verbally assaulted in a couple days. Where's Bob? Bob hasn't been here.
Let's see. Who else are we kind of missing?
We got Shane and Heather, team
Shane and Heather.
pilots.
Yeah, they're
Lovely Shane and Heather.
Yeah, we haven't seen them much, but that's
I
because
did.
you have.
I did. I
We're
went to
stuck
visit
here.
them.
We're stuck here running your store while you're out, flying tiny whoops with them in Texas.
Got third place.
Yeah, they live out in Texas, so we don't see them as much as we'd like. But
And Shane and Heather are the Flash Gangsters.
Yes,
For you
Mr.
that
and
Mrs. Flash Gangster.
don't know.
At Mr. Flash Gangster and then Miss Flash Gangster.
why don't they
on
move to
Instagram.
LA?
I don't know. They should.
They should move to
Or
LA.
we should move to Texas.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't want to move into a house 1/6 the size of what
And
they
car-
have now.
And
costs
pay
twice as
5
much.
times
Yeah,
what
for
they
real
do
though.
in Texas.
Dude, their mortgage is like their mortgage on their huge ass house in Texas is with property and everything is like way less than Alex pays a month for a small studio apartment in Pasadena.
Well, we have ridiculous prices. So who else do we got on the team here? We got
Volker.
Volker.
Yep, yep. He's like the
Team Dad.
Team Dad, yeah, Team Dad. He's like the.
He's our German cousin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
the token
good
German.
At
He works-
building airplanes.
token German. I don't know if you want to say token German. I would say he's our German engineer. I guess sounds like a better name.
Yeah.
Volker brings a lot to the table. He's built a few of my planes for me because I just run out of time these days, and I get to brag and say I have German-made planes, so
Yeah.
which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. He
German
charges
engineer.
appropriately.
We got Pete, he's not on the team.
He refuses to be part of Team Legit because he doesn't want to be associated with our bullshit, but Pete's part of the team.
But he's there. Like, he's always at our hangouts, always at our meetups. So we got Pete.
And
We
just
have
so
a
you
fish
know,
over.
Pete is the owner and creator of Drone Squad.
Yeah, he works tight with Team Black Sheep on the race tracker, and
Yep.
they're working on integrating that stuff to make.
And they got a couple really other cool, exciting things coming out we can't talk about. But
Yeah, that should be
yeah,
awesome.
so that's Pete.
The
Let's see.
show. But Show's been sick for the past 2 months.
Show is
Show.
he's new.
He's new.
Yeah,
he's
but-
a little newer than me.
Show is about to get axed from the team, not by us, but he's
By the U.S. government.
no, he's that too.
Deported?
That too.
No, he's going into the military.
He's going into the Air Force actually,
And he got married.
and he's getting married. No, he got engaged.
He got engaged.
So we miss you. We love you. Come back, Show. Miss your
Mm-hmm.
quirkiness and your expertise around the shop. And then, are we missing anybody?
That's the core team, I'd say.
That's the core team. We got David Donaldson.
David Donaldson's new. I've never met him in person.
Nope, we've never met him in person. He's our online buddy. He's down in Carolina FPV. We got who else? We got there's a guy down in Florida, John Kennedy. He's one of our pilots. He flies a lot of our crap.
Oh, we forgot about John Hallman.
Oh God, don't! Can't. John Hallman. I think John Hallman is the Texas version of Tim.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, it's okay, it'll be fine.
He's built. It's funny because Tim built the Hundo. That we built 2 Hundos, right? We
Yeah.
had 2 cut. John's got one, and Tim built the other.
Yep.
Okay, and please explain what is the Hundo?
The
We'll get into the lineup here in a bit. We don't want to get too
Okay.
off track. I think what we should do is that's most of the core team. We should talk about who's here and what we bring to our table.
Okay, let's start with Johnny. What do you bring to the table?
Absolutely. I brought a beer.
He brings
beer to the table.
You know what he brings?
Here.
He
What do you
brings
do?
he brings funding and lawyers.
Yes, funding and legal expertise.
But let's talk about what do you like to fly? How do you like to fly? What do you enjoy?
I like to fly naked. I mean, let's see here.
I like long walks on the beach.
I like to fly most scenic flights.
Unrestricted.
Unrestricted scenic flights. That's my deal. Is I'd like to legitimize hills.
You're a boxer brief kind of guy, aren't you?
Yeah. I just don't want to be tied down.
Do you enjoy racing?
I do. Part of it though with the racing is I get nervous for everybody else, and I'm always like running around trying to make sure that everybody else is taken care of because ultimately they represent the team. And racing makes me nervous. I like it. I like the thrill that I get, but
Stressful.
it's stressful. It's stressful because I feel like you guys are like we talked about earlier in the show. I'm the guidance, the guy that points the direction, the coach. And I feel like if I'm not there to help you guys, and if I could stop what I'm doing and help you guys that little bit.
I actually noticed that when we were up
Just-
at Drone Nationals in New York.
Yes.
I remember when all of us were in different heats, and I remember you running around and sitting next to everyone while they were flying,
I wanted to make
trying
sure.
to talk, well, maybe not sense, but trying to calm everyone's nerves while racing, which was very appreciated.
But I like scenic flights. I like to legitimize mountains, which basically is bombing hills, like, you know, they call them right now diving, whatever they call them.
Hill
but
diving.
Can't say bombing. It's 2017.
Mountain
There's
diving.
too much political correctness. But I like cruising down the side of a mountain at 2 feet, 3 feet off the ground. I like going under bridges, flying over lakes and scenic areas. That's my favorite style of flying. And tandem flying with, you know, the guys when we get together. We have a video on our YouTube. It's called Keep It Legit. I think that was one of my funnest nights that we had flying.
5 legit wing deep
5
formation flying.
Oh, it was awesome.
Sweet.
And one guy overtakes the other guy, and that was a lot of fun for me. But yeah, that's what
Cool.
that's the style of flying that I like.
It's funny you say that. My Grindr profile says the same thing.
Your grinder.
So, let's go over to Ian. What do you enjoy FPV flying?
At Icy Jeffries on Grindr.
I like
He likes it low, he likes it fast, and he likes it rough.
Hardcore.
I like the extremes of flying. I get excited about I get excited when I think there's something that nobody's done before. Every plane I build, I try to do something new or just something I haven't seen somebody else do, or you know, oftentimes on the team, you know, I'll ask people's advice on some new idea I have or some weird thing I want to do. Everybody tells me not to do it, and
You end up doing it?
you know, I'll do it anyway, and they think it's
motivation.
because I don't appreciate their input, but it's quite the opposite. I think I can help people by trying something and succeeding, and I can help people by trying and failing. You know,
Miserably.
If I try something and fail, and then I tell people about it, you know, that kind of educates us all about where the boundaries are, or what, you know, what isn't worth pursuing.
You're a limit pusher.
So yeah, I like to fly.
Push it to the limit.
I like to fly very slow, and I like to fly very fast. I don't like to fly medium. I don't. I like to fly very low. I like to fly very high. I like to.
You're an
I don't
extremist.
know. The idea of doing something more, going faster, longer, harder, higher.
Sounds like a Daft Punk commercial.
You know, all these things are what excite me, and yeah. So racing is definitely a big part of that, but you know, James May is my spirit animal, and he says, you know, going fast, you know, there's an appropriate time and place for that. It's not every time, and it's not every place.
So philosophical.
I like all sorts of flying.
Interesting. Josh, let's go over to you. What do you enjoy?
I'll answer for him. Low, fast, and breaking things.
Especially breaking things.
I like to. I feel like I try to be Ian, but I can't. I
You're your own. I think you got your own unique style. You don't give a crap.
I try to fly conservative, right? Because I'm like that college
No, you
kid
don't.
budget, like, and I like think about, you know, when I'm on the ground,
No, you
it's
don't.
always, now listen, I'm getting there. So like in my head, I'm like, okay, like I don't want to break this. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna fly this thing, you know, pretty conservatively. I don't want to break this. And then as soon as I get in the air, that part of my brain is on is attached directly to the throttle cut switch on my Tyrannus. As soon as the throttle becomes live, that part, the self-preservation for my aircraft plane turns off. So I'm immediately like, oh, look, an easy up. I can go underneath that easy up. Oh, look, there's the side of a giant mountain. Oh, man, there's sticks and twigs sticking out everywhere. Cool, let's see if I can pick some up on the way down. Oh, man, like, there's like, oh, look, like a mile and a half away, there's like a gap between that guy's house and that guy's garage. I can fit through that gap. And like, I just break so much stuff.
How much stuff have you broken?
I don't. I have a stack of like 6 legit. I was counting it up the other day. I've built 19 legit wings.
Okay, just wanted to get that on the record that Josh owes me for 19 legit wings.
Hey man, I paid that off in mini quad parts.
Hey, how many of them were for yourself?
16 of them. Oh, 15. I built the twin suit for Johnny. But I like extremes. I'm starting to venture into the long range stuff, but I just like being able to fly proximity. I like flying down. I like if it's half a mile away or if it's 3 miles away. If it involves sketchiness, then I'm all over it.
Okay.
All right, Ramen Noodle. You're still evolving in your FPV. You're figuring out who your identity is as an FPV flyer.
A lot of people, it's sort of gotten out of control. I have a lot of random aircrafts. I have where my car should be parked inside my garage. It's just filled with just random aircraft that have nothing to do with each other, like gliders to legit wings to like slow planes. It's just a whole bunch of random stuff. But
one can say that you're experimenting a little bit, right? You don't know which way you swing just quite yet.
He's in college. So
you're experimenting. No, you're doing stuff maybe that other people don't really do because
2017.
You're finding out what you enjoy.
He's FP curious.
Yeah.
FPV curious.
Yeah.
The thing is,
he's got FPV gender identity.
It's 2016, man. You can identify whatever you want.
Yeah.
Ramen's learning how to say no.
Yeah, and he's not very good at it.
But he hasn't gotten there yet.
Before you, go ahead. I got to tell you guys a little story about Ramen after you're done talking about your flying style.
I don't know what my flying style is. I mean, I just recently started like pushing a plane like low and fast because before every single build I had was pretty sketchy. Like there was a high rate of failure. I think the first time I crashed a plane I cared about was just because like Ian bumped my antenna on my transmitter ever so slightly, and I put a legit wing nose first into the ground, and then after that I sort of been terrified to trust Lemon Electronics.
Well, you
but
started
I
on
still
quadcopters.
Yeah, I started on quadcopters. I wasn't. I sort of got out of quadcopters a while after I bought my first pop wing, and like about a couple months after that, I decided to build a race quad just because I literally spend most of the time every day selling these to people, and I was thinking to myself one day, maybe I should actually try some of this stuff out, see what it's like before I say that it's the best. And then after that, I got some experience, so I could just tell the customers what they want. Do a lot of like basic first builds, nothing too crazy or professional. I'm a decent quad pilot, nothing crazy, but
I'll differ that. I beg to differ on that.
Shit ton better than any of us are.
Yeah, he's pretty good. So let me tell you two things about Ramen. One, he's incredibly good and terrible salesperson at the same time. A customer will come in and he will do so good at selling this customer an item that he'll end up selling himself. He'll say, "You've got to buy this item here, sir, because it's this. You know what? Come to think about it, this item is no longer for sale because I'm going to buy it myself." So Ramen ends up selling himself on a lot of the items. But going back to your flying style, you really impressed me this weekend. Well, it started off with a lot of
It started off with
a lot of comedy because I was laughing my ass off with all the crashes you were having
before I took off.
And then after you kind of got rid of all the heebie-jeebies of all the crashes and the one plane driving off the table and falling 2 feet off the picnic table and breaking. I mean, if it blew up and exploded into flames, I would not have been surprised. But you were flying that legit wing like you've been flying legit wings. Like it was a combination of Ian's speed, Alex's low and down to the ground proximity, Josh's silly and stupidness. I mean, I saw leaves flying off of bushes as he's flying by him, chopping it up with the blade, and my long range all in like 1 20-minute flight. I mean, Ian was there. That was pretty impressive watching Ramen rip up this 54 like he just didn't give a crap. And I don't know if it's because the plane is good, Ramen is good, or just because there was a camera on him while we were doing an Instagram live stream and he was trying to show off and be, cooler. But
how were you comfortable with it right away?
I don't know. It was the first time I actually had trust in the electronics. Because I mean, I know we always say Dragon Link's amazing and stuff. I'm not using Dragon Link for pushing 30 miles of range. I'm just using it because I need something that I want to know that I'm not gonna lose the plane.
And that was kind of
feet away.
And that's what I was telling Ramen at the beginning is when it's there's this feeling you get the first time you fly with a 433 system that works. You start working with it and then you go, oh my gosh, this feeling of worry of things going away it just works. You don't have to worry about losing a plane a quarter of a mile away. You don't have to worry if I fly behind that bush I'll be fine. Just you don't have to worry about
it gives you confidence.
Yeah, it's a confidence boost.
Not a A lot of people think it's a long-range system. Some people actually think it's a video system. How many calls a week do we get? Hey, how far can Dragon Link get my video to go? But it's not so much about the long range. It's not so much about the distance. It's the confidence. You literally, it automatically gives you like a third ball, a third testicle for having a Dragon Link, because you're like, oh yeah, that hill that I've always wanted to fly near, and I've had fail safes just inside the park. Then now you can fly. So
and just like to just mention really quick, I mean, I'm not sponsored by Dragon Link or anything, and all long range systems of that thing, just they're a lot better than 2.4 to give you confidence. The reason I got Dragon Link is because Johnny had one to sell. If it was anything else, I would have bought it too. If Johnny's tested it and he's willing to sell it, then that usually means it's something that you could rely on and count on.
Ramen, I ate a burrito 2 days ago, and it's good. It was a really good burrito, and I relied on it for nutrition. Would you like it?
Just write it on my tab. I'll take it.
Oh, that's funny.
What about you, Alex?
Well, what about me? I enjoy flying FPV Bixlers. I enjoy flying really big and slow Sky Hunters.
All right, stop making fun of me. Let's
go. I'm sorry. I like to fly. The way I fly is basically I like to do proximity stuff. I like to fly. I really like to push the limit to fly as low as possible, like literally so low that the prop strikes the ground, and
which has happened
many times. One fun anecdote was when we were out at El Mirage.
Oh man, that was a fun time.
Filming from the truck. We were driving around Johnny's truck on the dry lake bed, and we were flying in front of the car with our planes. And I had like 2 occasions I went too close to the ground and the plane just belly flopped, and it cut away maybe an inch on the propeller every time.
It took off a quarter off one prop each time.
And but that's what I enjoy to do. It's not without its risks. I've lost my fair amount of stuff doing it. I was trying to get some really cool footage for my Instagram and ended up completely losing 2 Runcam 2s in 1 week's time, which kind of sucked, but it is what it is.
Well, no one likes losing stuff. No one likes losing equipment. It's just
gotta pay to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And FPV's not cheap. So.
And what did you say in your meet the team video right before Worlds? Don't put your plane up on a shelf.
Yeah, it's kind of. I like to see it like this, and I hope more people than me treat it the same way. Because what I can't stand is I can't see like people building their planes and they're putting their whole soul into the plane or quad or whatever, and they're making everything perfect, and then they're afraid of using it after they've done it. I mean, it's kind of like milk. If it stays too long in the fridge, it goes bad. It's something that you should use. And
are you saying that legit wings have an expiration date?
Absolutely. I
think
every wing has an expiration date, because if you're not pushing your own limits and actually crashing and stuff happens, you're not evolving, or at least it's.
I tell customers that all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's like I always tell them like
sales pitch. I like it.
Well, I told them whenever they come in, it's like oh, I need another bag of props, or like I'm keep crashing this and that, and I look at them and was like, look, if you're not crashing, you're not trying hard enough, because I still crash. I've been flying for years and I still crash all the time.
I crash almost every time, but it's also.
But you two crash because you guys are trying to fit a 32-inch wing in the 10-inch gap.
Yeah.
So that's just physics.
When are we gonna build a plane that like fold? Have you ever seen that video of like a hawk like flying and it like shoots through a hole in the fence and like folds itself up and goes? Why can't we get legit wings that have proximity sensors? So just you're about to go through a gap, it like folds up all of a sudden.
That would be cool. But yeah, and back to that, don't put your airplane on a pedestal. Use it, and if it breaks.
That's my problem.
Like the initial thing of getting into FPV can be quite expensive. Expensive. You have to get your radio, you have to get your FPV gear. I mean, the airplane is usually just a hunk of foam. I mean,
hopefully it's the cheapest thing.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you crash it, you can still transfer all the guts and electronics into a new platform.
Yeah, like worst comes to worst, it's like you break like maybe you strip a servo or like, and with Metal Gears that doesn't happen anymore. Breaking cameras is the most common thing that happens, and you know that even with a good, if you build your stuff right, where there's good skids and that kind of stuff. I mean, I haven't broken a camera, and I mean,
for me,
you know,
there's sort of like,
knock on wood, I haven't broken in a long time.
There's sort of like that, I don't know, just a weird feeling. Even though like it's your favorite plane and you crash it, gets destroyed, it's like the little kid in you is always like, yeah, I crashed it, and it was fun to watch. Hopefully, I have video.
The only thing I don't enjoy of crashing is that if you don't get video of the crash.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because then it double sucks because you lost your plane and you didn't get any cool
You know what's
video
funny
out
about
of it.
what I found about us like losing planes in the desert or like crashing stuff a long ways away is like at first you're like, I want my plane back, and then not even 5 minutes later it's like you start thinking in your head and you get to the point where it's like, I really couldn't give a shit if I get my plane back. I just want my SD card with the footage on it. Because that's what's important.
Exactly. That's what
We've done that walk of shame plenty of times where you get out to your little yard sale at the end of the field and you start picking things up and then you immediately run back and you got like 3 guys on hands and knees looking for an SD card that got ejected.
Or for a run cam too, after hitting a tree at 100 miles an hour.
These things happen. So, toodles.
Okay, we have been talking for a while now, and it's time to put this dog down. In all seriousness, we love dogs. I have a dog. His name is Falcon.
Okay, we're starting it again.
Our team mascot's a dog.
Yeah, he is our team mascot. He's a fantastic dog. Everyone here loves him, so they say, at least. But yes, we're gonna shut it down now. I want to thank all of you listening to our first Team Legit FPV podcast. We're gonna be making a lot more podcasts in the near future, and we're gonna have some really interesting topics for you guys to listen to. I want to thank you, all of the team members that are with us tonight. I want to thank Josh, Raman, Johnny, Ian. Thank you so much for attending.
You're welcome.
My name is Alex, aka Token Swede. Thank you and good night. And also, please don't forget to like us on the social schmeeds. Make sure to like us. Make sure to visit our Instagrams. Thank you. Good night.